Today's video is going to be based around life, I guess. The past few months for me recently have been super difficult. I've been on a total kind of roller coaster of emotions. I've been up, I've been down, I've had days where I've been okay, I've had days where I've been far from okay, and I've kind of felt every emotion there probably ever was. So I'm going to tell you all about it in hopes that maybe you get to know me a little bit better and you kind of maybe open your eyes to the unseen, I guess. I should probably start off by telling you about my mental health. Although it's always one of the first things I probably always mention to new people, I don't let it define me. People always kind of find it a controversial subject and almost stigmatise mental health even more than it already is. So I kind of, at the start of new friendships and new relationships, I kind of put it out there at the start to see what their reaction is and how they feel about it, because if they have a good reaction to it, then that's cool, that's great, we'll get on fine. If you don't let it bother you, or you kind of just think nothing of it, which it kind of is nothing because it's quite common, but then again there's a lot of help needed around it and it's quite a big thing for someone, I guess. But a lot of people I tell have really bad reactions to it, and for example, I once told my friend that I was having a bad day and I kind of just needed a chat and someone to talk to kind of keep me occupied and busy, and his reaction was, and I quote, "It's just a part of growing up." So I was like, "You think all these mental health related illnesses and disorders are a part of puberty?" And he was like, yeah, you grow out of it, you get over it, you grow up. Here's a fact for you: depression, anxiety, OCD, eating disorders, all these mental health related kind of illnesses and disorders, they're not a part of growing up, they are not a part of puberty. I think puberty might take its toll on depression and things like that, with the stress levels you're going through, but not everyone has or develops these disorders. So yeah, I guess I'm pretty passionate in making mental health kind of a normal thing in people's eyes. I don't expect people to understand it fully, because even I don't, and I'm the one going through all this and I'm the one dealing with it on a daily basis, but I still struggle to understand it as well. I suffer from depression and anxiety, and my anxiety is then kind of linked onto a bit of OCD as well. I don't have it too bad, I don't have it as bad as anyone else, but I can almost control my anxiety and OCD. I kind of know the triggers, and I kind of know what not to do to keep myself away from having panic attacks and things like that. But when depression hits, there's not much I can do. I physically cannot do anything. I want to and I try to, but it's just impossible. And I guess if I could do something about it, then I wouldn't suffer from it and it wouldn't really be a thing. With depression, some days I struggle to get out of bed. I just don't see the point some days. I struggle to be awake because I'd rather be sleeping and just have my mind at ease and have it shut off, because that's kind of the only time some days when I can feel okay. Putting socks on in the morning can even be difficult, and getting in the shower, just little everyday things can be really stressful for me when I'm having a bad day. And just the idea of life some days just gets a bit too much for me, and I kind of feel as though I can't do anything or I'm not anything, and I'm just with anxiety. Then comes panic attacks. I get them quite bad. They normally last about 20 minutes, the actual anxiety attack, but then I'm kind of still on edge for the rest of the day and I can't relax, I can't just chill, I'm always alert kind of to my surroundings and stuff like that. It's kind of the panic stops but the anxiety doesn't. I think with my anxiety, a main trigger is rejection. I have a total fear of rejection and I don't know why. I have to try so hard not to put myself in situations where I can be rejected, and with becoming single, I think that's going to be difficult for me, so I'm going to have a bit of a tough time with that. But I guess I just have to remember, with all the hard work I've put into myself the last few months, I can't really allow someone to come in and just wreck that for me. I'm quite happy being by myself just now though, because I've worked up myself so much and I've built myself up to be okay again. At the time I was visiting the doctors a lot for my anxiety and depression. I was with my boyfriend still, and I almost did it for him and tried to get better for him, because at the time I was putting all my struggles, all my problems and stress onto him without actually realising it, and it was super unfair. That's when things started to get a bit worse for me, because I was relying on him for everything, and I was relying on him for my own happiness because I just couldn't give it to myself. I think that was a bit too much for him and kind of made him edge away a little bit, and I clicked onto that. I don't really want to talk about him too much as it's between me and him, and I don't think it's really fair to kind of put him out there like that. But it got to a stage where I felt him stop loving me, and to feel someone stop caring about you really sucks, especially when your mind is a mess anyway and you're anxious anyway that you think he's gonna leave. But it was at the stage then where I was waking up every day thinking, is this going to be the day he breaks my heart? Is this going to be the day he leaves? And for so long I kind of saw the breakup coming, but I didn't really do anything about it, because I thought I was in love and I thought he loved me, and I was kind of blinded by it all. Looking back on it now, I probably could have put myself out of so much misery by just ending it then with him, but like I said, I was kind of oblivious to it, and I thought that's kind of what love was. Like, I don't really know. I guess it's because I spent so much time telling myself I wasn't good enough and telling myself that I couldn't be loved. And the day he cut it off, he kind of confirmed all my worst nightmares, and they kind of became a reality to me, and it made me freak out completely. At the time he made me feel like I couldn't be loved, but as time's gone on and like we've not spoken and stuff, I kind of see it from his point of view, and I don't think I could ever hate him for doing what was best for him, I guess. My relationship with him didn't end too well, and I feel like there's still a lot to be said to him, and he probably has a lot to say to me, but it's all better left unsaid. Like, I'm getting on just fine without him, and I'm sure he's doing amazing as always without me too. The day it all went bad and he was kind of unsure if he wanted to be with me anymore was probably the worst I've ever felt. I think even without the depression and anxiety, I think it still would have probably been the worst day I've had so far, just like ever. I had so much going on personally with my health, college, and the stress of finding a job and stuff, and heartbreak was kind of the last thing I actually needed on top of all that, and it was kind of like the icing on top of the cake to kind of trigger a complete meltdown. I remember him saying the words and I kind of just fell to the floor in complete panic, and in that moment I felt like my whole world had just caved in on me completely and I had nothing left, because I was with him, it was coming up for a year with Craig, and it was tough because for a year he was all that I knew. I didn't go out because of my anxiety, didn't socialise, I didn't really do anything unless it involved family or him. So for me to kind of get used to not having anyone as such was really tough for me, and the thought of it just set me into a complete meltdown. That morning, it was like 10 o'clock in the morning or something like that on a Saturday, my sister had come up the stairs to check on me and see what was going on, because I was just in complete meltdown. I was crying, I was screaming, I just couldn't breathe because I was in such a panic. And I remember thinking, my little sister is here looking after me, I should be the one looking after her, I'm her big sister, I should be the one looking out for her. But she's done so much for me without realising, I think. As sad as it is, we always fight, we always tell each other we hate each other and whatnot, but in reality I would class Neve as my best friend, and I'm getting emotional. But I guess it just proves what I'm saying is true, and although I don't say it lots, like, my sister is my world, that morning my sister was on the phone to my mum, and I kind of heard like such a panic in her voice, and down the phone to my mum being like, you need to come get her, you need to come see her, she's like freaking out completely. So my mum drove an hour down the road to come get me and take me home and just look after me. I kind of lost my appetite for a while. I wasn't eating, and even drinking water some days was like too much effort for me, and I just physically couldn't do it, and I don't think I wanted to do it because I just didn't want to be here. My energy levels became so low, and I then developed a sleeping disorder, and I was either sleeping for days straight at a time or being awake for weeks at a time, and my sleeping pattern didn't really exist anymore, and there was no in between. And I was then admitted into hospital for a day because my energy levels were so low, and I was super dehydrated. Things were just kind of really bad at that point. Several doctors were chatting to me and seeing what they could do for me, and then therapists became involved, and it all got a bit scary because I was doing this alone, kind of. In my eyes, I thought I was doing this alone. I had a few hospital visits around that time. I had an MRI scan on my brain because my migraines had become so bad and frequent that they thought it could be something to do with a brain tumour. I was being tested for cancer too because I found a lump somewhere, and I freaked out at that, so got that seen too, and thankfully they were both nothing, but it was a really scary time. Months on and things are like a lot better than they were. I still have my mental health struggles and issues, but I guess I don't struggle with them as much as I did in that time frame before Christmas. They've calmed down a lot since I chilled out a bit, and I don't think I'd be this not happy but okay, on a level of okayness with myself, without my friends and family, as cliche as it sounds. I didn't really talk about my mental health with them, so they weren't really aware and didn't really see it as an issue until I had the breakdown. I think it opened their eyes a little bit to see that, hey, she actually is struggling, she does need someone, and they kind of stepped up and were there for me, and I don't think I could be any more thankful. My mum has been my rock, and she reminded me that it was okay not to be okay, and things like this happen and you can't help it, and I think she reminded me that I could be loved when I thought I couldn't be. And she was on the other end of the phone at 3 a.m. if I needed her. I'm getting emotional. She let me stay whenever I felt like I needed to be around people, needed someone, and oh my god. All my friends have been amazing too. Shanna especially. She took me along to doctor's appointments and made sure I went to them, and she would drive all the way over here if I was having a bad day and I needed a chat or needed a hug, and she'd be right over here. She even drove all the way out to Montrose one day to see me and just chill with me, and I'm so thankful that I have such a great friend in Shanna. I don't see you much anymore, but I still love you. There's a lot of people I speak to online as well that have kind of helped me through a lot. I think, again, without realising it, they've been there for me. People like Craig and Ellie and all of the lads. That's a private joke, so a lot of you won't actually understand that, but they've always been there for me to chat to and given me advice. And I love them all for it. So yeah, this turned out to be really soppy, and I didn't mean for it to turn that way. That wasn't my intentions, but yeah, well, I'm personally really proud of how far I've come and how I've kind of learned to live with my mental health. There was a time where I just thought like my life was ending and I had nothing left, and people always mention how much happier I am now and how I smile a lot more. I mustn't have smiled before or something, because I don't smile that much. But that makes me feel super happy, and it kind of proves that I'm kind of getting somewhere and I am improving. Even if I can't see it, other people are picking up on it, because I've had to build myself up so much these past recent months, and it's been super hard, but I'm glad that I've had the time to work on me